The first one is Leif Larsen, co-founder of Jenny Life in the US. I have Rosaline Koo, who's the founder and CEO of CXA in Singapore. And I have Vaibhav, who is the co-founder of Mahila. I will let my colleagues introduce themselves, but first I would like to give you a bit of an introduction. Gender intelligence is a key topic, and it's extremely important for InsurTech and FinTech because it can bring more sales opportunities and increase the customer base. When we look into the FinTech today, currently women hold 216 trillions that can give FinTechs positions to grow. 89% of women today globally take charge of the day-to-day purchases. 89%. That means that they are a key decision maker in the way that they will buy and in purchasing focus. 90% of women are primarily healthcare decision makers in their family. They are the key decision maker for healthcare. Now let's talk about InsurTech. InsurTech, 123% growth expected for InsurTech vertical over the next 5 years. And let me just give you one number. 556 billion in value of InsurTech premiums by 2025, representing 8% of the global premiums. So this is a real opportunity. It's an opportunity because there's a need, and it's an opportunity because there is the customer base. However, how can we be smart and more gender intelligent to focus and seize the opportunity with women? So today, the main objective is really about specifically teasing out on the ways InsurTech should be designing to attract this customer base. So first, before I start looking into discussing with my panelists, I would like each of you, and maybe we start with you, Leif. Can you give a bit of a background about your company, your focus, and how do you approach gender composition in your customer base? Maybe we start with you, Leif.
Yes, thank you. So I'm the co-founder of Jenny Life, the world's first InsurTech that's dedicated exclusively towards serving women and mothers. Jenny helps women buy fully customized, budget-friendly insurance straight from their computer or from their smartphone in a matter of minutes. Our mission here is to try and help close the mortality protection gap impacting more than 20 million women in the United States and hundreds of millions of women globally. I am also the product of a single mother household, and I had a parent prematurely die due to a vehicle fatality accident. So I am not just a co-founder here, but I'm a very mission-driven professional because I've had impact that I've directly experienced by way of mortality. And so I am really, really compelled to try and help solve this problem that we're experiencing here in the United States and globally. And gender disparities in financial literacy, we think, have impacted the reason why there are so many women that don't have life insurance. And so we've been really driven to try and help solve that problem.
Well, thank you very much. That's indeed very mission driven, and it's fabulous to be able to hear your story today as we go through. Rosaline, on your side,
yes,
would you like to introduce yourself and the company and your mission?
Yeah, so Rosaline Koo, I used to run Mercer Marsh Benefits, the 14 countries in Asia Pac. And one of my largest clients in China complained that they bought cancer insurance, but they discovered too many late-stage cancers. And so they asked, why couldn't someone connect all the services for early detection and prevention so that it is not too late? So I tried to convince my firm to invest 10 million so we could connect the whole ecosystem. Wasn't able to, so I spent $10 million to build CXA. Started with brokers, just sold them off, and now the platform is being used by insurers for clients. And so we've connected the whole ecosystem in 5 countries now.
Wow, very impressive indeed. A lot of point for insurers as well is they're not as close to the partner or to the customer. We call it payer to partner in AXA. So it's very interesting, and this is indeed a big challenge to be able to be closer to the customers. So that sounds really like it was a real need.
There was,
thank you.
And there still is.
It is, yes, you're right. It's only in 5 countries, so we've got plenty to go through and talk about. But well done on this ambition, Rosaline. Now let's go to Vaibhav. Catch you. Vaibhav, do you want to introduce yourself and your company as you are co-founder of Mahila Money?
Thanks a lot, Navi. I'm Vaibhav. I'm representing Mahila Money, which is a neo-bank we are forming in India for women. Specifically, if I talk of insurance before getting into details about Mahila Money, insurance as a market in India is under-penetrated by all the reports that you read. If I look at on an average report, 92% country, which is the second largest country by population, is underinsured. And if I look at insurance gender-wise penetration, not more than 8 to 9% of the overall book, which is underwritten, is women oriented. So if I look at women insurance penetration, it's dismal. If I look at the population we are serving through Mahila Money, which is the neobank, and insurance is a part of the bank, the overall addressable market is around 360 million. Out of which, even if I look at people who are digitally savvy, are using smartphones and are falling into our category, it's around 270 million. So that's the population we are wanting to serve. And what I heard from Rosaline is something which I have felt myself, and I've lost some family member due to cancer because it was the last stage when it was detected. And that's something which is, I think, the core of what we want to do, and I would love to interact with her separately also, if we could do, because insurance is just taking care of the financial losses that may happen. But there are so many other emotional losses and other things that come along with cancer. If they could be addressed beforehand, there's nothing better than precaution or prevention than the cure. So that's my story, and that's Mahila Money's story.
Well, thank you, and thank you for also sharing with us quite some, personal details. So thanks so much. So let's start, guys. Let's first discuss about how we will be asking. I mean, I think the big goal here is really to understand how we can address and how we can improve this gender intelligence composition for our InsurTech. So let's go through the sales funnel. And right now, obviously, we're going to start with awareness, consideration, approval, usage, and loyalty. But let's start first with awareness. And this is a question I'm going to ask to each of you. And I may start with you, Rosaline. Could you highlight the reasons for the gender split and whether it reflects the situation more broadly in the industry in your market? So do you see any decision-making bias between women and men, especially from an investor point of view?
Well, I only have male investors, so I have no female investors, mainly because there aren't that many female investors where I am.
Yeah.
But I can tell you in terms of our clients, the decision maker at each firm, I found that in large companies, small companies, is 2/3 female. And it just happens to be because HR is typically the decision maker. And so it's 2/3 female. But the user for the wallet, and we have a digital wallet that's funded by the company, is about a 50-50 split. All the employees get money in their wallet, and they get to use the wallet to buy more insurance, or to see doctors, or to take care of mental health, or prevention and wellness. So I look at it from the B2B and then B2B2C. And we have both as clients.
Well, that's very interesting. And it's also interesting that all your users are men. That means we've got plenty of things to go through on this one.
Yes, I need a female investor.
Yes. I was seeing this. I think there's only 8% of investors that are female for Femtech. It's really we need a lot more role models.
Yes.
If on your side, what about you? About reflecting on the situation on your industry, in your market, and the gender bias reasons and why there's such a split?
So we've had both men and women in decision-making capacity from our investor cohort, and I feel that we've had a great parity and a lack of bias towards our business model. They understand that this is an underserved market. They also understand that 85% of all consumers here are making these household purchasing decisions, and so they understand the opportunity. I would actually say, if anything, we've actually experienced reverse gender bias because myself and my co-founder are men. And what business do men have trying to actually build a female-focused company? We've seen a lot of that. But I'm very fortunate that we have some amazing women that have been key decision makers around investments into this business. And that's been really, really helpful as we've been building.
Wow, and also being a mission-driven company must probably help as well. Okay, so Vaibhav, what about you?
From a gender perspective, we are a women-only platform, so we don't have any gender-specific divides. But what Rosaline said, we have seen that from an investor's perspective, the market is still dominated by men. The good thing is, Indian market has seen a lot of MFI or microfinancial institutions which are doing predominantly women-led investments, but they have been offline. So making the investors understand becomes simpler because they can understand tech on one side and the MFI market on the other side. Having said that, the decision making is still on a day-to-day basis managed by men predominantly, and that's something we are looking at changing. Also on the insurance side, what we have seen as a huge difference is the word usage. Men prefer using the word insurance, whereas women prefer the word using protection. So when I look at insurance as a word, a lot of women are not so keen, but the minute I talk about protection, that is something which touches them emotionally, and they are more open to the concept of insurance. So that's the one huge difference that I've seen. Other huge difference that I've seen between the two genders when it comes to insurance is the way they look at it. One prefers long-term savings, the other is looking at lending against it or more of a credit. So men prefer credit-linked products, whereas women, at least in the markets we are serving, they are looking at protecting their savings or can the product benefit the family, not only themselves. So those are the two huge differences that we have seen when it comes to gender and insurance.
Yeah, very interesting. In fact, you're absolutely right. In the research that's just being launched on how fintechs can protect profit from multi-trillion-dollar female economy, the Alliance's 2020 research that I've been reading and I've been looking into. It's quite interesting indeed, because the marketing then campaign and strategy becomes very different tactics between men and women to attract specifically female users. So I've read that female acquisition costs less than 14% of the total process, versus men is over 22%. So it also costs less to attract female users. And currently, we really look into the various funnels, but by attracting women as men, revenue could go up to 12%. So just by attracting more women as in the customer base, InsurTech could actually grow by up to 12% on their revenue. So that's quite an important piece. However, as you said, women may not want to buy with the same type of message and the marketing message than others. So in your view, Leaf, let's start with you. In your view and in your perspective, how can InsurTech be more wary of each of the stage cycles to make sure that there are no leakage in the sales funnels to attract female in their customer base?
Yeah, that's a great question. We are in a digital end-to-end process with our go-to-market strategy. And so for us, it's a lot of digital hand-holding and making sure through that digital funnel that we're not letting customers out. We want to make sure that we're helping to fill any of the gaps there. And those can vary across information asymmetry, just understanding the product and financial literacy around the insurance product. But for you to really be able to combat any of that leakage, it's really about tracking and being able to measure that. And so we spent a lot of time and invested a lot around trying to be able to effectively understand when we are losing customers along the funnel there. But once it actually comes down to combating that leakage, the primary method that we've used has been implementing new tools to try and help the customer with a little bit more white glove, high touch type of service. For example, we don't just communicate with customers via our toll-free number or via email, but we're doing web chat. So we have live qualified life insurance agents there to chat with customers in real time. And we also added over the last 9 months here the ability to do SMS and MMS messaging off of your mobile phone to support customers there as well. As we all know on the call here, 99% of our addressable market, has this device in their pocket called a mobile phone. And so we're increasingly using that as an additional, tool to try and stay top of mind with customers and combat that leakage.
That's quite interesting. So changing different types of channel to be able to reach them. Rosaline, on you, we've talked about, increasing this customer base. How do you think we can increase the awareness of women's customers? You yourself being a woman, and also a leader.
So we've taken a huge number. We've taken 500 big corporate customers away from Mercer and Aon. We became number 3, even though we're like a no-name brand. And the reason why is because I think the whole way we talk about the brand, which is shifting the money from treatment to prevention and early detection, because we have a wallet for each employee and they get to shift. Use your spouse's coverage for hospitalization, free up that money and use it for your parents, for your kids, for yourself. And then we have a marketplace of hundreds of offers, including individual insurance and buying more insurance. And so that whole messaging really gets more of the female HR, right? Because it's not just insurance, it's telemedicine, it's massages, it's mental health, it's chronic disease management, it's early detection because we have all the health screening up there too. And we tell you and we educate you. And then for the employees, how we get more awareness is we have a lot of offerings that women want. Discounts for kids and parents, massages, mental health. So there are just lots of offerings, but it's the ability to personalize and shift money. So I think that just attracts more females too. And plus, at the end of the year, if you haven't used up your $2,000, you can donate to charity, and we link to all the charities too. So I think just our whole messaging and the way we built our company is so different. It's more nurturing.
You're talking about attracting them here and nurturing and developing different types of obviously of offers and value proposal. Is this also how you keep loyalty amongst women?
Yes.
Is it how you keep that brand?
Yes. So what we've noticed is even when the decision maker, the HR, moves to another firm, they come back to us. So, and employees, when they terminate from the company, they can stay on the app, but we sell to them beforehand medical and life coverage just in case you're unemployed between jobs or your spouse is. So even if they terminate, this is a way we get individual customers. So we keep the loyalty of the B2B and the B2B2C.
And on your side, Leaf, going back to you before I ask Vaibhav, going back to you, you were talking a lot about digital journey to attract. Is there any tips, any effective marketing campaigns or tactics that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Can't give away too much of our secret sauce here, but I think that it's almost as important what you shouldn't do as what you should do. My first two recommendations on what not to do are: number one, don't pink wash. That doesn't really work very well. Number two is be very careful about doing any stereotyping. And some of that we learned by having females leading our marketing efforts, and some of that we learned through mistakes. On the do list, certainly champion a cause. It needs to be something that's more important than just this very shallow, we're selling you life insurance. They want to be part of a movement. And then as Rosaline said, the personalization aspect is absolutely important. Very specific tactics that we've done though include, using social media, mom bloggers and women influencers in our marketing and as part of our delivery channel. We've done television commercials that were completely written, created, produced, and driven by women. The messaging has been very specific to core needs of women, but we've also done very edge case marketing as well to women that you just haven't seen before. For example, there's a developing network of digital displays within OBGYN and pediatrician offices throughout the United States here. And we were the first insurance business to ever go in and market directly towards women when they were in that, having their first or second child, and marketing to them right there and then. And that was very interesting because it was a female specific environment where we were addressing them at a particular point where they had a need state for life insurance. And so we've tried to get very creative in our focus as one example.
Okay, well, that's very, still mission statement and still involving women to be able to sell to women. So quite a good tip here, Liv. Now let's go back into this sales funnel, because I think that's important. So for each of you, I will go through it with a few questions. Just on onboarding, Vaibhav, obviously you have 100% woman customer. So that's a great achievement already. Can you give us a little bit more about how do you onboard? What's your onboarding process of women? How do you make it seamless? And how do you support that process as it evolves with different women needs and generation, culture, etc.?
Yeah. So what we did before we went live, we surveyed and we met around 22,000 odd women to understand their pain points. Why have they stayed away from financial industry if they have, and what were the roadblocks? Interestingly, across socioeconomic backgrounds, across geographies, there were few things which stood out. One was the difficulty in understanding large financial application forms. So a lot of women, at least in India, do not like how the application forms are designed in banks and other financial organizations. So what we have done is we have reduced the overall journey. We've reduced the number of questions. A lot of questions in traditional application forms have been there for last 30, 35 years, which are now not required over a period of time. But traditional banks have still continued with them without realizing that the importance of those questions have gone. So we have reduced the form size. Second is the documentation that's required. Again, in India, in last 8 to 10 years, there has been a lot of unique ID creation, digitalization of data that's happened. And we have removed the number of documents that are required to onboard. So just a single document or at most 2 documents is what we require. And third, what we have done is there is a lot of cultural stickiness, or for the lack of better word, a phobia of a man calling up and asking for documents. So what we do is only our women call from our side to the other customers if there's any document that's required. And we have also stopped any physical presence. So traditionally, banks would be sending someone at a house for doing a physical verification whether the person stays in this house, whether the address is correct, whether the individual is the same or not, which actually to women sounds more like someone is investigating on them even when they're wanting to open a bank account. So we have removed that, and we are doing all those processes through centralized servers, which now the government permits to do through e-verifications. So we have removed all those things and made the journey, instead of being very intrusive, instead of the bank wanting to check out whether the person is actually existing or not, but it becomes more like a welcome gesture, which we do, and it becomes a meet and greet, the way a person would want to be in a situation. So those are the things we are doing to make sure that the woman feels invited into the society or invited into the platform, instead of being investigated and felt as if she's not someone wanted on the platform.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So now we've gone into kind of the awareness, the onboarding in a sales funnel, the consideration, ensuring that women come and become and buy from InsurTech. There is one key piece though, and we all know this. It's about the bias in credit algorithm. In insurance, we know that underwriting is quite a key to make sure that you seize the take-up of insurance. But there is today still unconscious bias when you look into women underwriting algorithm. It is true that by converting women at the same rate as men, revenue could actually increase by 70%. So it is quite a key consideration when you have onboarded or when you have been able through marketing campaign to attract women. How then do we make sure that they buy, and how do we make sure that the product does not have any more unconscious bias? And on this one, Leaf, I'm going to start with you. So women do face huge issue when it comes to credit. Is there anything that we can do in terms of delving more in this lack of credit? And what are the must-have for intelligent digital insurance to make sure that you attract the right people?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this is actually growing as an issue, not decreasing. Here in the United States, the conventional process of buying life insurance took about 4 to 8 weeks. And we moved over into a digital access model because we felt like that was really putting women at disadvantage. And so we do a digital model where she can come through and get life insurance exam free in a matter of 10 minutes, get a quote, apply, and be bound to the process. And so this streamlined process, we think, dramatically helps access. But the trade-off for collecting the biological information, the biological data, like taking a urine analysis and a blood draw and all those things that used to be part of that process, is that now it requires third-party data sources. And so now credit has actually become even more of a piece of this digital process. And as you said, that can be a setback for women. I personally think that the best way to approach this is through legislation, not necessarily through solving it through technology. I think that there needs to be rules and mandates that are put into place that say that you're going to have a fair and balanced approach towards the application process that does not put a man at a more of a credit advantage over a woman in terms of the acceptance rate and or the pricing of the product. And we actually have some U.S. states here now who've actually required this as part of the life insurance buying process, that both genders are in equal parity when you're taking a look at that. So I think there's things that we want to do in terms of technology to inform and educate women about the importance of the role of credit in the process. But I also think that it can be up to legislators and governments to help put structure in place so that there is that type of fair and equitable balance in the process too.
Regulation can help in accelerating trend reversing, indeed. Actually, Rosaline, let me go to you and ask you, how can we convince underwriters to be more free of insurance gap for women? I mean, there's the design, there's the pricing, there's the product itself.
Yeah,
so in this.
Yeah, so we since we focus in the workplace, we start there where we already understand salary, age, shopping because we're their wallet. We already know their health, the classification. So we try to sell within the workplace using the company wallet, all types of insurances, so that they're not coming in as an individual, but we have so much information, they don't have to re-underwrite again, these individuals, and it's before they leave the workplace. So we've also bundled with payroll companies to cross-sell their entire base. And so we've been able to fill some of the gaps with cash advances and payday loans, so that there is enough credit. So we're experimenting with all types of partnerships to fill these gaps.
Okay, partnership is the key then.
Yes, because if sometimes I can't convince the underwriter, but if the company funded wallet is enough, then it's enough, and we write the algorithms with them instead of having individual underwriters work on it.
Yeah, no, fair point. Now let's move on to usage. And Vaibhav, I'm going to you. So usage is a big component of the sales focus, obviously. Let's just check with you, since usage is key and you have 100% women customer base. Why is privacy so important for women? And how can it be addressing by this privacy concern to support the usage rate?
So privacy has been our utmost requirement at our end, because at least, again, it depends on the socioeconomic situation in the country, and privacy has been one of the key reasons why men traditionally have not permitted the women of their house to step out and go and get exposed to the financial products. Plus, there have been a lot of cases where the data has been misused with respect to fraudulent transactions that have happened. And unluckily, most of the time, these data that has got leaked without any information being captured with the consent of the customer. And hence, what we are doing at our side is we have kept the app in such a way that the app requires not only an OTP verification, but a biometric verification also, because that's requiring a lot of loopholes that have come in. And to add one more thing onto that, in COVID, what's happened is a lot of mothers have given their smartphones to their children to attend classes. And if the financial product, which is on the phone, can be accessed with just an OTP, someone who has got the access to your phone may also end up using the transactions. And hence the privacy has become extremely important, where not only a OTP which is coming to the phone, but a separate password or a biometric is something which we mandate, because mobile sharing in households today, especially mothers of the house sharing their phones with their children, is happening. Also, what we have seen in India is a lot of families have got one smartphone, where the woman of the house gets to use that smartphone later in the evening or late in the night. And that has got a family password, which she would not want everyone else for their financial product. So we need a separate password over and above the password for the phone, which is known to everyone. So those are the key things in the privacy that we are looking at and which are critical.
I see. Okay, so always be flexible and work as women need.
I lost her audio.
We can't hear you.
Sorry. Let's move now to the last question. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the final stage of the sales funnels, the loyalty. And Leaf, this is one I'm going to take for you, because I know that for you, for Jenny Life, female customers is almost double that of the market average. And just so you guys know, there are questions in the chat. Unfortunately, I cannot see them technology-wise. So if that's okay, I will continue and finalize those questions with the panel. So Leaf, let's talk about you. Can you explain perhaps why and delve into the importance of loyalty in your case?
Yeah, absolutely. So historically, it was common for the relationship between the insurance carrier and the female consumer to be limited to this exchange of a policy for a premium payment. And we just believe that that is inadequate. And I think that Rosaline, has come to a similar conclusion, and that's why, she's focused on driving value add. We certainly are taking a page out of that playbook as well here. As a result, we've been building what we call a constellation of value added services that help to solve the problems of women and mothers. For example, here in the US, most vaccination records were still on pieces of paper, on cards. And so they would put it in a shoebox and stick it up in the attic. And we had mothers in focus groups tell us, I need better access to my family's vaccination records. And so we built the first vaccination record app here in the US that allowed parents to digitize that and very easily send it off to school or grandma and grandpa or a camp counselor. The point being, there's a lot of problems that these women and mothers that we serve have. And so we started asking, how can we help forward deploy value to you by solving those problems with technology? Another tool that we have here is our free prescription discount savings program that allows them to save up to 80% on their prescriptions. And that's deployed and available across 40,000 pharmacies across the United States. And so we're saying, how do we help them to make more money, how to save more money, or to be able to get back time in their day by giving these different applications to them. And by way of doing that, we're just simplifying their lives. And we think that in terms of loyalty and retention, takes the average life insurance policy holding period of about 7.5 years. We think that this doubles it to about 14 or 15 years. It costs us a little bit more, but we think that there's a very high ROI to that in terms of retention.
Great. Well, retention, that was the key last word. Thank you very much, everyone. So I think we've went through all of the funnel, the sales funnel. I hope that for the audience, I want to thank you, Leaf, Rosaline, and Vaibhav. I hope for the audience, they saw a lot of tips and a lot of advice on why is it so important and why do we have so much impact on women's financial health overall by using nimble and effective InsurTech platform. It's now the end of our session. Thank you so much, Leaf, Rosaline, and Vaibhav, and I wish everyone a great continuation at the Alliance for Women Forum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.